What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Luke Show. We got a very special episode today. We're here with Tim. What's up, Tim?
What's going on, Luke? How are you,
I,
buddy?
we've got some World Cup fever here, so we're gonna get into it. Tim, just tell me a little bit about your personal background with soccer.
With footy in general,
Well, yeah, do you call it football, I guess?
yeah, soccer, footy, whatever.
Hmm.
Whatever floats your boat. So
Uh,
I grew up playing soccer my whole life. We're both from Southern West Virginia. It's not a
hmm.
very popular sport there. So the the county where I grew up in, they like didn't even have a soccer team for the middle school. So
Hmm.
I ended up having to travel like 45 minutes just to be able to play soccer for like the public school team nearby. So wasn't very popular where we grew up.
No, it was
Nonetheless,
not.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, it was pivotal in my upbringing. Met lots of awesome people. A lot of my awesome experiences from growing up all revolved around soccer, traveling to soccer tournaments and everything like that. So definitely a big part of my life.
Mhm.
Played all the way up through college. Now I coach
Where
nowadays.
where did you play? I remember you played college. Where was that? I never remember where it was.
I played at a D3 school up in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
hmm So,
Okay.
yeah, been a big part of my life. Up and through, I've always enjoyed watching, always followed. So, yeah, here's an
Yeah,
opportunity to bring
I
some
feel
of that
like
home.
for this pod, I would say I'm like soccer more than the average, probably American, but I'm definitely a casual. But I think it's good
Yeah,
to have you on here because because I mean the World Cup, I feel like this is gonna be the biggest World Cup probably in our lifetime, I would say, based on like being in like North America. So like just
hmm
tell me now, like how is it different than like what was the last one? Was it in Qatar?
Yeah, so the last one was in Qatar, so that was in 2022. That was
That
an interesting one.
that
Yeah.
final was like the best game ever, I
Oh,
feel like.
yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
regarded as like the best soccer
Hmm.
game of the last probably like 25, 30 years, I would say, probably in this century. Especially because like the eyes on it, like I'm pretty sure that over like 3 billion, 4 billion people saw the last World Cup final. So I mean,
Jeez.
it's basically like the Super Bowl just like on a global
It
scale.
really is crazy because I think I heard a stat the other day, like you think about like how big the Super Bowl is, and like a random like Premier League game is probably getting more viewers than the Super Bowl by like a lot. I think like it is
hmm
just wild. There's such like an American thing where we just don't even like consider how like giant the game is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point. I've talked about this before about like why soccer isn't as popular here as in other countries, and I think that there's like a ton of different reasons to it, but I think part of it is also like this idea that it is the global game, and
Hmm.
I don't know, there could be like a little bit of this American exceptionalism at play with it. It's like, oh, like I mean, football reigns supreme here, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like America's really the only place that's played, so. I think with how popular football is. I mean, basketball is outrageously popular nowadays too, even though, basketball is popular in other places in the world. But
Yeah.
I think that they're like a lot of places in the world, like soccer is the sport, and like it's far and above the most popular, and the number two is way down low. I feel like in America, there's a lot, like it's a lot closer in the pecking order.
Hmm.
Football, probably basketball, baseball. Soccer's probably like the sixth or seventh most popular sport here, but that's part of what's exciting about
Probably.
the World Cup is because I do think that soccer is going to become more pertinent in people's lives. Just being able to see like what a big celebration the tournament is, and like this idea that sport can bring people together, I mean, obviously, we'll talk about the backdrop of
Hmm.
this World Cup being here. There definitely will be some hindrances to smoothness of the tournament, but all in all, I mean, I think that people should be excited. I'm super excited about it. Obviously, there are mixed feelings regarding some of the aspects of it, but I wanted to throw it to you real quick. So, as you mentioned, you're probably like a little bit more in tune with soccer than the casual fan. Like, how do you feel about the World Cup coming here? Are you excited about it? Is it not
Yeah,
really part of?
I love the World Cup. Like I always like I don't follow like I don't have a team like a Premier League team or anything like that, so I don't really check in. But like every world, I've from when I was like I think 2010 was probably the first time I was really into the World Cup. But like it's probably one of my favorite sporting events. I would say March Madness and the World Cup are like the coolest things that go on. Like I don't, it's just like I remember 2014 I was so into it. That's when I started playing soccer. Like I was like my senior year of high school. I was like, I'm just gonna play soccer because the World Cup's so awesome. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. Like, I love to like this three. This is the first time it's been three countries, right?
First time it's been three countries. Yep.
Yeah. Has it ever been more than one?
So I know 2002 was Japan and South Korea.
Okay.
Since then, I don't think there's been another one. I might be
Mhm.
mistaken because 22 is Qatar, 2018, Russia, 2014, Brazil,
Brazil.
2010, South Africa.
Dude, the 2014 World Cup, Brazil, like the video game, that was like maybe one of my favorite games ever. I played that so much.
Yeah,
I wish they still did like made games like that.
that game was classic. Do you remember by chance from that World Cup the Germany 7, Brazil 1?
Yes, I do. Was that the semifinals?
I forget if that was semifinal or quarterfinal. I think it may have been quarterfinal, but that
Mm-hmm.
is kind of regarded as like one of the most shocking
Yes.
results in modern history because like Brazil were the hosts. They were probably like eh, betting odds either the number one to win the whole thing or number two,
Mhm.
and it was just like it was one of those things. Even if you had nothing to do with either country, like it was jaw dropping
I
watching it.
no, I can literally remember it. It was still
Yeah.
crazy. What was
Mhm.
Germany beat Argentina in the final? Was that what it was?
Germany won. I do think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure they beat
Yeah.
her. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like you mentioned, we can kind of talk about this World Cup specifically, mention some of the things that make it a little bit different. So I can kind of just go into it if you want.
Well, I like you were talking about kind of like I wonder if these like other World Cups like when their country like because USA hosted what 1994 was the last one I think.
94 was the last time that we had it. Yep.
I wonder if you could like see the data and be like there was a big boom in soccer like in the country after that because I don't know if it's like true but I wonder if like the countries that host the World Cup do they experience like okay soccer becomes bigger for like youth sports now do they see a growth like because I wonder if that could happen after this World Cup for USA like it could be like I don't know
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
could
absolutely.
yeah
So
no go ahead sorry.
yeah, some of the legends of like the US team. Yeah, yeah. Some of the legends of the U.S. team who played in the '94 World Cup, that's something they speak about is that like they just saw like the popularity of soccer in general grow here in the States. Now, it's interesting because like this kind of goes back to the conversation regarding just popularity of soccer here. Like the last couple World Cups in Qatar, in Russia, in Brazil, in South Africa, like you don't really need like the idea of trying to prop soccer up
Hmm.
popularity wise is not even necessary in those places
No
because
no
it's already
no.
far and above the most popular sport, you know.
Hmm.
So I think that that's like uniquely interesting to our situation here. One thing, so regarding US soccer in general, like we have a pay to play system here where a lot of the best teams, they're located in like the suburbs of big cities. So for example, I live in Baltimore right now, and one of the most recognizable youth soccer clubs in the country is called Bethesda SC,
Hmm.
which is like right outside of DC on the Maryland
Oh
side.
yeah.
They're nationally recognized, extremely good club, but it costs like thousands of dollars for your like U10 kid to
Mm.
like go and play for a spring season,
Jeez.
you know? So I think that with the World Cup being here, I think that it will, since it's kind of going to put more eyes on the game in general, hopefully that helps prop up kids who do want to start playing. Because one thing that's awesome about soccer, which we'll talk about later on, is that the reason it's the most popular sport in the whole world is because it's so accessible. You know, I mean, you
Yes,
literally
I
just
was
like
thinking that earlier when you were talking about it.
you need just a spherical object, and that's all you need to play. You know, you can
Hmm.
put two random like things down on the ground as a goal, as long as you have some kind of sphere. You know, there's pictures of like kids putting together balls of like tape or rubber bands and playing with
Yeah.
that. You know? So like that in itself, I think is awesome. And so with all of that put together, I hope that soccer starts to become more popular here through it all. But yeah, going back to your question, after the 1994 World Cup, there definitely was a rise in interest in soccer. You know, so hopefully we see that again. It seems like more people are starting to become aware of the gravity of the tournament as we're getting closer to it, you know. So I think with all that put together, I do think that soccer is going to become increasingly more popular because of the tournament. But we'll see if it really starts to kind of like break down some of those barriers that kids face
Hmm.
for playing soccer now in the States.
Well,
So we'll
we'll
see.
we'll we'll do another pod in like 5 years and we'll assess. Maybe we were right if
Yeah.
it grows, you know.
Mhm. To
Well,
that point, I think it's also like important for us to know that we're planning on doing a couple pods in preparation for the World Cup. So this first pod, we're going to be kind of setting the general background for the tournament, talking about how it's a little bit different, talking about soccer in general as we are, and
yeah.
then closer to the tournament time, we're going to do a show that's specially dedicated to the U.S. men's national team and what our hopes look like going into the tournament. And then a little bit even closer to the tournament, then we'll do kind of like a full preview where we talk a little bit about each group and everything.
That's good, Tim. I'm glad you pointed that out. So you were talking about how is the World Cup different? I mean, we
Hmm.
talked about the three host countries, but like, yeah, to get into that a little bit, like, what is going to be different this time? Like, is the ticket
Hmm.
situation going to be crazy? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
just yeah, like that's what I want to know because I was wanted to go to one of these games, but it feels like impossible.
it almost feels impossible right
Yeah,
now. Yeah, so the World Cup is traditionally always a month long. The last World Cup actually in 22 was a little bit different because of how extremely hot it is in Qatar in the summer months. So they actually had the tournament held in the winter time, which is a little
yes.
bit weird.
What
So
the games
it
were
kind
like in the morning too because the
Yeah,
time.
there in the
Yeah.
morning, it
Mhm.
it disrupted all the domestic leagues. There was like a massive break, so it was all kind of just weird. So we're kind of going back into the normal timing of it. So it's going to be
That
in the summer.
just on the Qatar one, that feels like it was maybe like one of the most corrupt like World Cups ever. Like, wasn't it just crazy? Like, what happened there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so FIFA in general, for those who don't know, is kind of regarded as a corrupt organization. Like
yeah.
FIFA earns more. I don't have the statistic in front of me, but
Mhm.
FIFA has more money in its coffers than I think it's like over 80% of the countries in the world. Like
Wow,
the money that they sit on is higher than the GDP of most of the world.
that's
So,
crazy.
um, Gianni Infantino, he's currently the head of FIFA. I'm sure that we'll talk about him at some point over these pods, but
Yeah, maybe we'll get him
um,
on.
maybe we'll get him on. Maybe that would be a bad thing. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but part of the issue of the last couple World Cups is that their ideas that corruption was involved with certain teams or certain countries landing the rights to host the tournament. Saudi Arabia recently was announced as not the next World Cup, but the following World Cup
Hmm.
host nation. So kind of the same murmurs there that
Yeah,
it's a little bit of foul play is involved with picking which countries, but in general, yeah, Qatar, there was a lot of issues with foreign labor and just a lot of shadiness
yeah.
involved. Preparation of the tournament. So,
I
yeah,
got
there
you
was,
off track there. That's my bad. I
no, it's
remember I
okay.
was thinking about it.
Qatar was iffy. There were some
Mhm.
iffy qualities about the
Yeah.
tournament, but nonetheless, so Qatar, that took place in the winter of 2022. So that was a month long. So going forward for this tournament, so this is going to be the longest tournament that we've had for the World Cup. So this is going to last from June 11th to July 19th. So it's going to be the longest ever tournament that we've had. It's going to be 39 days instead of the traditional month. So on June 11th, that's going to be the opening match. That's going to be in Mexico City, Mexico versus South Africa. So, as Luke mentioned, the U.S. is one of three hosts of the tournament. It's a North America tournament, so it's going to be Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. Interestingly enough, that first match, Mexico versus South Africa, you said that you remembered the 2010 World Cup, right? The South
That was
Africa.
probably the first one I was like aware of and
Do
watched
you
some of
do
it.
you do you remember from that tournament that legendary goal from the opening game that the
I feel
Shabalala or
I remember like the celebration. I think I
the
saw a clip of
dance?
that. Yeah, I saw a
Yeah,
clip
yeah,
of it on
yeah.
Instagram the other day. It was hilarious. Like the coolest
Yeah.
celebration ever. Yeah.
Yeah, so that goal is kind of it's written into legend in the
Mhm.
World Cup. So what's cool about this World Cup is they're actually going to be the inverse of that match. So that time around in 2010 it was
Oh
South
yeah,
Africa
I see.
hosting Mexico. This
Uh,
time around, the opening match is going to be Mexico hosting South Africa.
that'd be
Uh,
cool.
yeah, so that would be cool.
Mhm.
As we had mentioned earlier, this is going to be the first tournament that the U.S. has hosted since 1994. So soccer's grown in a lot of popularity here since then. Um, So we'll see if we do have a good team on paper, but we'll see. We'll get more into that for
Mhm.
the U.S. Centric episode. But Yeah, the U.S. team and its aspirations for what it can be as a soccer country has drastically changed since 1994. So we'll see what happens. But altogether, there's going to be 16 cities that are serving as hosts. So Canada has two, Vancouver and Toronto. Mexico has three, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. And then the U.S. has 11. So on the East Coast, we have Atlanta, Boston, Miami, New York, New Jersey. That's combined in one. And
Mhm.
MetLife, Philly. In the Midwest, we've got Kansas City, Dallas, and Houston. And then the West Coast, we have LA, San Francisco, and Seattle.
What do you
Um,
think of those would be your top like choice of a host city, like if you were going to go to a game?
if I were going to go to a game,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would probably want to go to one of the ones in Mexico just because
I was literally thinking Mexico City sounds like the coolest place you could go, like
Mexico
all the.
City would be really awesome. I really think any three of the Mexican cities would be dope.
Hmm.
Mexico City would probably be the best. But aside from that, out of the U.S. ones,
Like
uh,
Kansas City seems like how did they get on here? No offense to any
yeah.
Kansas
What's
City
interesting about
listeners.
Kansas City too, shout out our friend Cam who lives in Kansas City.
Oh
So
wow.
all of the host cities, all of the teams from the tournament, they basically pick a city to have their base camp in. And it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily have to be in one of the cities where the games are being hosted, but it just makes the most sense to be kind of near where you're going to be playing some of your games. So,
Hmm.
Kansas City in particular, they have Argentina, England,
Oh
and another
wow.
very high profile team staying in
Okay.
Kansas City.
Damn.
Um,
So it's actually the hub of the World Cup, I guess.
it might be a hub of World Cup, yeah. So
Damn.
it's interesting, because like there's a picture of like Mbappe last week. France had played some tune-up games here in the U.S. and there's a picture of Mbappe just like riding a scooter across the Brooklyn Bridge,
Oh, that's awesome.
And so because soccer's not extremely popular here, you might have some of these like world famous athletes who have like hundreds of millions of Instagram followers, and you might
Hmm.
not even like recognize them on the street,
I was listening to this thing about how Messi was like in Miami and like it was kind of just like he could just like go to like a Publix there and it really wasn't like a big deal anymore. Which would
Yeah,
probably be kind of nice if you were like a mega star. You could just come play in MLS and like
yeah.
you get paid a lot. Nobody, you're not nearly as famous as like you would be, I guess. Yeah.
Especially after like, because a lot of the guys who like come to MLS, for example, like Messi, it's towards the ends of their careers too. So it's like they've been engulfed by this fandom and by like this obsession for like a lot of them 10, 15 years, So it's like that's gotta be nice, kind of adjusting to that and being like, okay, like I can actually go and do things in public and like live my life and not be just absolutely bombarded all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
So. Yeah, yeah. And then finally, so at the end of the tournament, once we get through all of June and then halfway through July, then the semifinals is going to be July 14th and 15th. That's going to be one's going to be in Dallas and then one's going to be in Atlanta. And then the final is going to be on Sunday, July 19th, and that's going to be at MetLife. So,
Okay, nice. So
yeah.
now this is they've expanded this. Like this is the biggest, is this the biggest one ever?
Yeah, so this is the
Okay.
biggest one ever, exactly. So this time around, we're going to have 48 countries participating. This is 16 more than the standard of 32 that we've had for the last however many World Cups. So the structure, thus, with us having more countries in it, the whole structure of the tournament is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to have 12 groups of four out of the groups, those who finish in the top two of each group, they automatically advance for the knockout rounds. But then what's interesting about this is that out of the 12 groups, the eight best third place teams also
Oh,
advance.
okay.
So some of the groups that are particularly more even,
Mhm.
there's a good chance that since more points are going to be divvied out to more teams, there's very strong likelihood that a lot of those third place teams will advance. So,
What are some of those groups? Like what is like a tough group here?
so some of the groups, let me get it
Yeah,
pulled
I
up
threw a
here.
curveball at you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, So the U.S. in particular actually has an even group. So the U.S. we're stuck with Turkey, Paraguay, and Australia.
Okay.
Just looking at it, there's not any like outright. superstar favorites. I mean, the US on paper should probably be most likely to advance out of that group, but
I saw a bet today. It was USA to win every group match. It was like plus 650. What do you think? Is that
um,
that seems kind of like insane. I feel like they'll have to
it's
tie.
I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Hmm.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on how that first match against Paraguay goes.
Yeah.
Um, In terms of pecking order, I think that Turkey is the best, then Paraguay, and then Australia.
Hmm.
All three are going to be tough matches, but I think if we can get out of the Paraguay match with a dub first off, then I think that that'll set us up for success. So we'll
Australia is
see.
always tough from like
Australia is always tough. They're
they
going to
just
have
play hard.
a stalwart defense.
Hmm.
They're going to play hard. They're going to play in a low block, what we call when you set up a bunch of defenders closer towards your goal so that you
Okay.
kind of just concede pressure the entire time,
Mhm.
but then you're able to spring out on a counterattack or kind of just absorb pressure.
I honestly love that might be like my favorite way a team can play. Like just kind of sit back and just wait to like hit you once.
Yeah,
It's
there's,
probably
I
not
mean,
like ideal, but I just think it's cool.
when it works, it's cool.
Hmm.
Sometimes that can kind of lend itself to more boring matches, if
Yeah.
it's kind of just like attritional attacking by the team that's better. But sometimes teams can really like take advantage of it, especially if you have like one or two wingers who can spring out like on a really really quick counterattack.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be deadly.
That's how I'm moving in pro clubs. Like just let me get out on the wing and go.
Exactly. Lucas is the demon on the left flank on our
Yep.
pro.
Just let me get out there and cross it in or hit Tim on the
So, sorry for the delay. I have the groups
No,
pulled
it's
up
fine.
here. So, a couple different groups that I'm looking at. So, I really like Group I. I think that this is probably going to be considered the group of death. So,
Okay.
every World Cup, there's a group of death, which is considered
Hmm.
kind of the toughest to get out of. Once again, everything is skewed nowadays because it's more than likely that most of these groups have a third that come out of them. But Group I is France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. Um,
Okay.
Three of those teams are really exciting. Iraq was actually the very last team to qualify for the World Cup, so it's their first time in the tournament for a long time. So congrats to them. But they do they were the
Yeah.
last team to get in, and they were placed in the single hardest group. So tough draw for them. But
Yeah.
France, I don't. You said that you were just looking at the outright favorites to win the tournament. France is what, probably number three or two right now.
They're plus 600. They're tied for second with England. Spain is actually the favorite right now.
Spain is the favorite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So France would not be surprised to see them go to the final. Norway is a very fun team. So one of the more popular players in the world right now, his name is Erling Haaland. If you're not familiar with
Oh, I
him,
did not know he played for Norway.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
Norwegian, so it's cool. So this
Okay.
is the first time that Haaland's going to be kind of on the global stage at a major competition with
Yeah,
his
that's
country.
awesome, actually. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
excited
if any
for
listeners are not familiar with Erling Haaland, I beg you to just like look up a picture of him. He's just this big Norwegian Viking
it.
meat stick.
Didn't you have like your fantasy team, your picture was him like with a chainsaw or something like that?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That was indeed it. My
Yeah.
fantasy soccer team right
Mhm.
now is called Insha Haaland. So
Oh, nice. I like that.
big supporter of him. He's
Yeah.
awesome. He's just
I'll put that pick in here. I'll try to find
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. He's a natural goal scorer. So Norway is
Hmm.
an exciting team, and then Senegal is also extremely good. They
Yeah,
might be
they're ranked number 14 right now in the world.
Yeah, they might be the best team from Africa participating in the tournament. Nigeria is a big miss in this year's tournament. That's unfortunate. They're
Oh
not going to
yeah,
be.
that's crazy. They're what happened? Aren't they? They like are
Um,
always there, I feel like.
Yeah, they had a tough time in qualifying in their group in Africa.
Mm.
They do have a lot of big names, but they just weren't able to get it done this time around. So it's
Damn.
unfortunate. Nigeria is always kind of known for having some of the coolest kits at the
That's
tournament
I was
too.
just about to say that. They're always look awesome.
So we're gonna miss out on that, unfortunately. But yeah, Senegal is extremely strong. So yeah, Group I, for example, that's probably gonna be the group of death. But we'll talk about some of these groups a little bit later on
Yeah,
too
for
in
sure.
other preview pods. But yeah, so all in all, the talent's going to be really strong at the World Cup. There will be some notable teams and players missing. Italy is probably the biggest one that we're not going to have this time around. This is going to mark 12 years that they're not going to be in the World Cup. They've missed the last two. Um,
What's the problem? Like what happened?
so some people say that in Italy, like in the youth systems, like as players are kind of growing up, that they are. Let me backtrack a little bit. Here in the
Okay.
last couple of years, the main problem for Italy has been a lack of strong attackers.
Hmm.
Italy has always kind of been known for having just like these badass, really strong, passionate center backs and defensive players in general. So they still do have a decent back line, like Bastoni, for example. He's a really good center back, plays for Inter Milan. He got a red card in their final World Cup qualifying
Oh
match
gosh.
in the first half, and
Oh
so
damn.
they were winning at the time,
Mm.
and then he ended up getting a red card, and they played a man down all the way up and through extra time. So, but in general, the idea is that in these academies in Italy, there's too much emphasis put on the tactics and having like a strong mental side of your game. Not in terms of mental fortitude, but in terms of like, okay, if the attacker on the other team is moving to this position, where should I drop back?
Okay.
Or if I'm receiving the ball on the left wing, where are my next three passing options? Like
Hmm.
the creativeness is almost kind of like taken out of them and discouraged. And so
Oh, so
now
they're like more like analytical rather than just like
more
playing the game.
analytical, yeah. And so like the problem here in the last couple of years is that Italy's really failed to produce any kind of like really like attacking minded, like I just want to take a person on and try to dribble them and take a shot. Like not a lot of that has been going on. And it was bizarre
Hmm.
too, is that Italy actually won the Euros in 2021. It was supposed to take place in 2020, but because
Hmm.
of COVID, it got delayed. And on that team, they had people like Federico Chiesa, who was like a prime attacker, really young kid, like a lot of like hope placed behind him that he would be like the next big thing for Italy. And like he's kind of dissipated. They really haven't had like they had the striker Scamacci, who people thought was going to be pretty good, but he ended up kind of falling off a little bit. So like attacking wise, they just haven't been there in the last couple of years. So
Hmm.
missing out on their third straight World Cup, pretty sad, honestly. It almost feels like wrong to not have,
Yeah, it does.
you know,
It's
you know
weird
how
that
like
oh, go ahead, sir.
no, you go ahead, you go ahead.
Well, I was just saying it's weird that you say like like how they train like because I just played pickup basketball yesterday and was just playing with like some dumb like no IQ of how to play the game. So I literally was texting and saying there should be like an IQ test where you have to like look at a picture of a play and like say, oh, this is what I do. It sounds like Italy was doing that pretty much, and it seems to not work. So maybe I'm
Yeah, I
just way
think
off.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that it's imperative to have a balance, though, right? It's like
Yeah.
you can have all the tactics you want, but at the end of the day, it's like if you don't have the players who are able to carry out those tactics or to create or to provide a little bit of spark in other areas, then the tactics aren't going to do
I
you
guess
much.
you do like start to like just become like robotic, I guess, and like you don't. Yeah,
A,
that
a
makes
little
sense.
bit.
Yeah.
A
What were
little
you got?
bit.
Sorry, what were you about to say? It seemed like you were about to.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. So yeah, so as we had mentioned, there's just going to be more teams at this tournament. So it makes it especially painful that teams like Italy have missed out on it. Some other notable teams that won't be there slash players. Poland isn't going to make it, so this would
Oh,
have been
damn.
Robert Lewandowski's last chance at a World Cup.
Hmm.
Or I mean, it's very unlikely they would have won, but Robert
Yeah.
Lewandowski has kind of been just like a mainstay at these big tournaments. He's a world-class striker.
Yeah, he's the man. I mean,
He's
I always
approaching,
think of them as like
yeah, he's
especially in the
approaching
knockout
40 years
stage.
old, and he's still playing really well for Barcelona. So that'll be a miss.
Is
And then
Denmark not in this?
Denmark's not in it too, yeah, so that's going to be a big miss.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Scandinavian power, they've been really good in the last couple tournaments, so that was like pretty
Yeah.
surprising they didn't make it. They
Wow.
they went to penalty kicks versus the Czech Republic, or who now wants to be deemed as Czechia.
Okay.
They lost some penalties to them, which is kind of surprising. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are two big ones. And then another player that I'm going to miss. this Georgian lad named Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, also known
Okay.
as Kvaradonna. He plays for,
Nice.
yeah, he plays for PSG. Like just
Uh,
a joy to watch.
Wait,
But
he's
he's
from Georgia, is the country?
from Georgia. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there will be there's going to be some big teams and big names missing, but the show must go on.
What was their like initial reasoning for like expanding the field? Like, and when they do it, do they do it like so does Europe have more teams now that can get in, or is it like the same, so they just like added a branch? Like explain the
So yeah,
expansion.
so they basically increased the number of teams from each region. So
Okay.
Europe is its own region, Africa is its own region, South America is its own region, North America, Oceania. So that's why you always have Australia or New Zealand in the World Cup because they're not facing
Hmm.
much competition over there, you know. Um, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of the same idea as like, why do we need an extra week in the NFL that they're
Oh,
suggesting?
okay, just
Why
yeah.
did we need to expand the NCAA tournament by X number of
We
teams? You know,
don't.
we don't, you know, so
Yeah.
it's kind of the same deal. And that's like kind of like part, I mean, also important to note about this tournament is that like there was fears that the US would kind of try to make it as hyper capitalistic as possible, which has kind of been what we've been seeing, especially
Hmm.
regarding like ticket prices and everything like that. So there's no clean answer to it. You know, you'll hear a different answer from the organizers. You'll hear a different answer from whoever has a stake involved in
I
it.
got yeah.
So
It's
more
all
games,
just money though.
commercials, more money. That's what
Yeah.
it comes to, unfortunately. You know, so
That's sad.
but in general, you know, I don't know how I feel about it yet, honestly. Like, yeah, it's going to dilute the tournament a little bit more. Like, you're going to have more bad games in the opening round. You know, I mean, like, if like a Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia game is starting at like a 10 p.m. or something, like, I don't know how hype I
I
am.
don't even know what Cape Verde is or where that is in the world.
So there's a number of teams in the country in the tournament this time
Uh,
around that have never been where like a lot of them most people are not going to be able to tell you where they're from, you know. So
okay.
like yeah, it dilutes the play, but on the other side of the coin, we are going to have a brand new knockout round. So the very first knockout round after the group stage, because we now have 48 teams and so many third place teams are going to be advancing, that does create an extra round of knockout competition, which that objectively is awesome.
Yeah,
Like
that is cool.
even if it is a game like a Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia, like if both teams are playing for their lives, loser goes home, winner advances in the World Cup, like you're watching a group of 22 people on the field living out their dreams, playing like every single one of those dudes. This is the biggest moment of their life. They have been waiting and like played their entire life to be here, you know? So, like,
Yeah.
even if it's not the cleanest plays or the cleanest
Mhm.
passes or the nicest, like, or the prettiest watch, like, it's 22 dudes who, like, or two sets of teams who, like, will literally give anything in their lives to win that game. And that in
That's
itself is cool, you know. I mean,
yeah, that's awesome.
it's the same as like the opening rounds in March Madness, you know. It's
That
like,
kind of just made me want to expand them. And like I've always been against expansion and say tournament, but the way you just put that, I was like, yeah, everyone should have a chance, you
should
know?
we just let every country in, do you
I
think?
think, dude, that would be awesome.
We should let every country in and we should have it
Yeah.
every year,
Yes. Yeah,
right?
that would be great.
I mean, it's
So it
so
wouldn't
much,
matter anymore.
we're losing a lot of money.
There are how many countries in the world? 30, I'm looking 3,100,
No,
3,200.
no, it's like
Oh, that's
200.
counties. Sorry.
Is it 212?
It's 195.
195?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be, I mean, I would love to just see it. Like they should do it like the bracket 1 through 95. It would take like I guess probably take, I don't know, months, a year maybe to play the tournament.
And then just restart it like a league
Yeah, then it
there.
just starts again.
Simple,
Hell yeah.
simple.
I think we got a good
Um,
idea here.
So something else regarding like the tournament coming here, kind of going into this idea of just like how it's been like hyper capitalized. So like the ticket structure for this World Cup has been really convoluted and messy. I mean, like you even talked about it, like it almost feels impossible to get tickets, you know?
Hmm.
So it's just been kind of like a gross process through the whole thing. So like acquiring tickets has been convoluted and messy from the start. So like essentially you had to try to enter a lottery, and there were three sets of these lotteries. I think they even did a fourth one, but basically you try to enter a lottery. You already entered your credit card info, so that if you're selected for the lottery, or yeah, if you're selected from the lottery, then you have the privilege to buy the tickets.
Yeah.
So
Oh
you can't
wow.
just outright buy them. First, you have to win the lottery. And even then, you don't get any kind of discounts on the prices or anything like that. They're just at like full price or like full face value.
Yeah.
So, for example, like the in 2022 in Qatar, so there's different categories that you can buy for tickets. So it goes category 1 through 4. Category 4 is the nosebleeds. Category 1 is like the best seats.
Hmm.
So in 2022 in Qatar, we're talking about category 3. So this is the third best out of the four. Average prices for group stage matches ranged between about $70 to $90.
Hmm.
Um, in 2018 in Russia, category 3 for opening matches ranged from about $105 to $210. And for this World Cup now here in the States, category 3 is averaging closer to around 400 to 650 or so.
Jeez.
So,
That's
but
unbelievable. I'm
yeah,
looking right now in like a US to go to like the USA Paraguay game. It's the cheapest ticket is $1,500.
yeah, it's nuts. It's
It's
absolutely nuts.
so these
I
ticket
mean, even
companies are
like
gross.
in LA, they're
Mm.
selling parking passes for 250 to 300 for
Jesus.
parking.
That's
Like that's
ridiculous.
more than like somebody who lives in Germany is paying for like a season ticket for freaking Bayern Munich, you know?
Yes, that's
It's
unbelievable.
it's wild, you know? And
Yeah.
so it sucks because like it's counterintuitive to this idea that like soccer is the global game, it's the most accessible, you know? You're
Hmm.
pricing out the people who kind of make the game what it is, you know?
Yeah, that's
Like,
yeah, the World Cup you literally think of maybe the crowd
yeah.
before anything.
I mean, like I was thinking about this World Cup coming here, like basically as soon as they announced it, you know, like basically like dreaming about going to like a big match, you know. And it's like
Hmm.
I haven't been able. I entered through all three lotteries. I wasn't selected a single time, so it's like now I'm looking at like buying tickets on StubHub from like resellers, and it's thousands of dollars, like you said, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
I
probably like those resellers just have like these bots and they entered all these lotteries and it's like it's just gross. I really
100%.
hate it.
I follow a Reddit thread that
Mm.
talks like specifically about like World Cup tickets and everything like that. And like you'll have the occasional person pop on there and be like, "Hey, I bought X number of tickets back when they dropped. Now I'm selling them for Y." And it's obviously they're making a massive profit. And
Yeah.
usually people attacking them. It's like,
They
"You're every
should. Yeah.
They should, yeah." It's
Yeah.
like you're everything that's wrong with this. You're the reason I can't go to this game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
you're just an awful person.
there's a freaking USA flag from a game that I watched
Mm.
like back in I don't even know 2006 against
Mm.
like Cuba. You know, it's like real fans now can't go to this, which
Yeah,
sucks.
it's bullshit, man. I hate
You
that.
know, it sucks. So ticket prices has been a mess. Even like the whole process for trying to be able to get a ticket has been a mess, man. So
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I hope that I'm able to go to the game, to at least a game. If it is like a Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia deal, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
Living here in Baltimore, I'm closest to Philly or MetLife, so I don't know. We'll see.
Any
Hopefully,
World Cup game would be cool, like no matter really who's playing. Like,
yeah, yeah, just for the experience and like
mhm.
for the final, for example, actually, like I'm gonna be up in Philly area for something else the day before the final, and
Okay.
they set up fan zones outside of all the stadiums.
Oh,
So
that'd be cool.
yeah, no, so that's a heads up for anybody who lives near one of the cities. Like they set up these like massive watch parties right outside of the
Yeah.
stadium. And a lot of time I've talked to people who say that those are even more fun than going to the game itself.
I
So
it kind of sounds ideal because like the game, like the best part of a game is like the environment and like the crowd. But you sometimes you just have a terrible seat and you can't really see much. Like those fan zones, they probably just have giant screens and you're just basically in a crowd, like it's like you're there, but like just see that sounds amazing actually.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, they've got to be a ton of fun for sure.
All right, so one last thing here, Tim. I feel like this is probably maybe been the biggest story of the whole tournament leading up is this, the USA Iran situation. So like, what do you have on that? Like what's gonna go on here?
Tough to say. Tough
Yeah.
to say. Precarious situation to say the least.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those. I don't know if everybody's in tune, but basically the host of the World Cup is bombing a participant of the World Cup. So
Could
this
you
is
imagine if you found out about this war from this podcast? Like if this was your first time you heard about
honestly
it?
impressive, and I envy you.
Yeah, that would be
I'm
awesome.
I'm a firm believer in ignorance is bliss, and
Hmm.
that's good for you, honestly. So yeah, precarious situation. So Iran is one of the teams that qualified for the World Cup. They actually qualified a long time ago. They are a good team.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they're
like
ranked like number 21 in the world.
yeah, they're really solid.
Yeah.
They have like a couple like recognizable players. Like for example, like their starting forward plays for Inter Milan,
Did we
and
played them last World Cup, right?
I believe
I think
so.
so.
I believe so. Yeah. But yeah, so they have recognizable players. They're a
Mhm.
quality team. Um, and so ever since the U.S. invaded, it's been skeptical whether we're gonna participate. So like shortly after everything had started, the Iranian sports minister said that Iran would not participate, quote, under any circumstances. Um, then that was followed up by our good friend Gigi Infantino, who we mentioned, the head of
Mhm.
FIFA, said, "Oh no, no, no! Like Iran is gonna have no issues with the World Cup. Like I talked to Mr. Trump. It's gonna be like all good.
Why would he feel like
Then,
he would be like qualified to like do to say like I
well,
could
I mean,
yeah.
he was the one who did deliver the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize to
Mm.
President Trump.
Oh,
So
nice. Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's great.
yeah, I think it's valid actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Gigi shortly said that after the Iranian sports minister said they're not going to participate, and then Trump has been kind of back and forth. Now, these quotes that I've pulled, this is probably from like a week and a half ago. The situation in Iran is evolving rapidly, let's
Yeah.
just say. Um, so things this situation is very dynamic. Like it's going to continue to evolve and change as we get closer to the tournament. At this point right now, I don't have an opinion on whether I think they will play or not.
Mhm.
Like it's really 50-50. From Trump's perspective, so first he basically, in response to the Iranian sports minister, he basically said that the Iran national soccer team is welcome to come. Like we want them to participate. Like we want them to be here. Then he kind of like touched into like soccer is the global game, like all the reasons that we talked about. Like
Wait, who said that? Was
that was Trump.
oh, okay.
At
Yeah.
first in response to the sports minister in Iran,
Mhm.
Trump was like, no, no problem for them to participate. Then um, later, like literally a day later, he once again had brought up the idea of Iran's team coming to play in the tournament, and then his quote was, "They can come essentially, but blah blah blah." But I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be here for their own life and safety. Not
Jesus Christ.
for their own life and safety.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, like what?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Whose safety?
their
Your
lives are in
safety?
danger if they come play in this tournament.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Just
you
a
are in
fucking insane
danger
thing.
of your own life and safety if you come play soccer.
God,
Like it's tough.
that's
So
awful.
the situation in Iran, I mean, like we don't want to get like too into the politics of it, but in situations like this, it's actually legitimately impossible to separate the politics from
Oh, absolutely.
you know.
Trump literally said
Um,
today whole civilizations will die tonight in Iran. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
he's just the fucking worst.
Yeah, having this conversation, doing like talking about Iran is especially interesting today, given that I think that he's really kind of becoming unhinged these like last couple of days. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Hopefully, we have a World Cup in
Yeah,
general,
honestly, yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, like the politics have also seeped into like other aspects of the tournament too, not just involving Iran, but like, for example, like there's been each host city is granted between 100 to 250 million to help kind of prep for the tournament, making sure that infrastructure is sound, making sure that the stadium is up to par for FIFA standards. There's like a number of of stadiums here in the States that weren't allowed to have to host games because like their fields weren't wide enough, for example.
Mhm.
Um, and so the government, like the US government, has been kind of withholding some of these funds for some of these host cities if their politics don't align necessarily with what they want. So like Boston, for example,
Yeah.
Boston's been having a lot of issues getting like securing the funding to help them for preparation. I mean, like at this
Hmm.
point, dude, like the tournament is close, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
in order to like successfully plan and execute large scale events like this, like it takes time and effort and organizational capacity and all of this, you know? And so like I think it's a mix of not understanding the gravity of the situation while also kind of trying to play the game, you
Yeah.
know? But like at the end of the day, it's only hurting your own image and like people's perception of this place as a whole if you are not able to adequately prepare for this single event that's going to have the
Yeah.
most eyes on it in the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, like that's what we're like the Qatar thing. Basically, I mean, I remember the Argentina France match being incredible, but the other thing I remember is like all the like how to like the building it up. It was like a disaster, and like I remember like
Hmm.
workers were dying like trying to build it.
And it's just, yeah, it was like all of it was marred in controversy. And what's
Yes.
interesting too is that like the 2018 World Cup, that was in Russia,
Hmm.
borderline dictatorship at this point
Yeah.
with Pooty Poot over there.
Uh-huh.
And then Qatar in 2022, like literal royalty, you know,
Hmm.
like they have an emir, you know, it's an autocracy. And so it's interesting that for the next World Cup here in the United States in 2026, it's almost marred in as much controversy, if
Yes.
not more. And
Yeah.
that's on the backs of coming after Russia and Qatar.
I would
And
say it probably is more. I mean, like this quote, I couldn't believe this quote, the own life and safety thing. Like, imagine like a team was like we could have played in this tournament and we might not be alive at the end of it, like, or our fans
yeah,
might be in danger.
it's crazy.
Just
And like
unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. And like going back to the point about the 1994 World Cup, I mean, we weren't alive for that,
Hmm.
obviously. So hard to speak to it from experience, but like that would seem to kind of be the general notion of the US hosting the World Cup the last time around. It's like people were way more excited about it than outsiders thought. We did a fantastic job of organizing it, and it was just like, from what I understand, it was organized very smoothly, it operated smoothly, and it was just like, you know, gold marks for the whole thing. It was a great tournament. Soccer rose in popularity here because of the smoothness and the efficacy of the tournament, you know. And it's
Hmm.
like it seems like it's the polar opposite of what we're experiencing this time around, you know, which sucks because, you
Yeah.
know, the world is a lot more, I mean, it's always been interdependent, but like the idea of like I can very easily see exactly what's happening on the other side of the world because of the internet and technology and social media and all of that. So it's like it's that much more accessible now than it used to be, and it seems like I mean, I'm still extremely excited about the tournament. I think it's going to
Yes.
be absolutely amazing, and like I understand and respect people who want to boycott it. I'm not going to be taking that route, but like still the idea of separating the sport from the politics, like it's kind of impossible, but you know,
Well, it's like
uh,
how you talked about like you're growing up with soccer and the way it like connects. I feel like sports are like it's supposed to be like this connects us all. Like it's kind of a universal language. We can all like agree to this, especially soccer, the global sport.
yeah.
And this it's just like we're just creating this division and just like
Hmm.
really taking away from what should be like the best sporting event in the world. And you
Exactly. And like to that point, it's like sports in general, like really does have the power of uniting people, you know. And
absolutely.
I think soccer compounds that idea because it is the most accessible. If I can tell a quick story real quickly.
Please.
So I traveled abroad and studied abroad in Japan for a month,
Hmm.
my junior year of college, going into senior year. And in Japan, in the dorm, you had to have all of your shoes outside of your dorm room. That's just like common practice, not wear your
Hmm.
shoes in the room. And so I was there for about a month, and probably like a weekish into the trip, there's a jet. So their school year is on a different timeline, and so we stayed in a dorm that was like a common dorm for like a number of local universities. It was interesting how it works,
Hmm.
but So a lot of the Japanese students were there still in school during the summer months. So the dorm was packed with all kinds of international students going to the study abroad program, but also Japanese students who lived there full time and went to school there. So one day, about a week into the trip, a Japanese lad, he came and he knocked on my door. He didn't speak any English, but he had a pair of soccer cleats in his hand, and he like raises them up to show me, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I play soccer too," because he saw the soccer cleats outside
Oh,
of
that's awesome.
my room. And
Yes.
so his name was Yusuke,
Hmm.
and Yusuke then he took me back to his room. He showed me like all of the like the soccer stuff he had on his walls, jerseys, a couple cleats and stuff like that. And him and I like legit couldn't speak a word of English back and forth,
Hmm.
aside from like hey, hello. But him and I were just like, oh, you love that player? Oh, I love that player. Oh, like you have Nike cleats? Oh, I have Nike cleats. And so he then invited me to like come and play pickup soccer with like him and his group of Japanese kids. And so it was like a beautiful friendship that blossomed. He ended up actually, so this was 2018 Russia World Cup. And so him and he actually took me and a couple other students who were there on a study abroad trip to watch Japan qualify for the knockout round of the
Oh,
tournament.
wow.
And so and so they ended up qualifying. And
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of Shibuya Crossing in Tokyo. It's kind of recognized as like the biggest
Yes.
crosswalk in the world. Like
Yeah. I
if
was
you see
randomly
images
looking
of
at
it
that the
when
other
there's
day.
lots of
Yeah.
people, like there's tens of thousands. And like it was one of the most memorable moments of my life. Like me and Yusuke and a couple of these other Americans, including my friend Maddie, um,
Hmm.
we were all just like going absolutely crazy, celebrating with the Japanese fans. Just like it was one of the coolest moments ever.
Yeah.
Japan
That's
qualified for the
awesome.
knockout round, and there's just like tens of thousands of Japanese fans littering the streets, just like all going absolutely crazy. And it was like in typical Japanese tradition, it was super respectful.
Hmm.
Everybody like set aside time at the end to clean up after themselves.
That's great.
And so what I'm getting at is that like I developed this really special bond with this Yusuke kid, and him and I were not able to speak back and forth.
Hmm.
Like soccer is what brought us together. Like we even had like at the end of our trip, like he came like on the day he knew I was leaving, he like came and brought me like a little gift, and him and I just like had like an emotional embrace, even though like I couldn't
Hell
tell you
yeah.
anything about him.
Yeah.
Like the power of sport and the power of soccer like helped him and I remind each other from opposite sides of the world. It's like you and I are not that different. It's like the passion and like what we care for and what we care about, like there's a lot of common denominators here. And so like I think that story like really helps epitomize like the idea behind sport. It is this common denominator that is supposed to bring people together, supposed to bring shared joy to people, shared misery, like all of that together. And so those are the aspects of the World Cup that I look forward to the most. And in some regards, those are some of the aspects that I am most fearful of regarding this World Cup. So I don't
I
know.
think that's a great, like, a beautiful story, Tim. Like, I feel like that really does encapsulate like what sports should do, like what we should
Mhm.
hope for in the World Cup. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that that's a good way to end. Like, I think that's great.
100%.
Yeah.
So like it's tough to say what we're gonna get in the tournament. I do think that the spotlight being on soccer is objectively gonna help, raise the pertinence of it here. Whether that then cascades into more kids wanting to play soccer as they grow up. Hopefully, I mean, like there's a reason it's the most popular game in the world. You
Oh,
know,
for sure.
so we'll see. I'm excited about it. I'm
Me
nervous
too.
about it.
Me too.
I think it's gonna be awesome. But luckily, we'll keep talking about it
Yeah.
as we get closer to. As we mentioned, we're gonna do a U.S. team preview, then we'll do kind of a group by group preview, and then I don't know. We'll see what kind of feedback we get. If
Yeah.
people want to hear about other aspects of the tournament, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. But
We'll talk
yeah,
about whatever we want, man.
I'm hyped. So
Me too. That was good, dude.
we're going.
All right. I'll see you, man.
All right, brother. Take care.
Yep.